All right, so today I want to talk about meal prepping. It's something that I struggled with for a really long time until I started working with my very own nutrition coach. I just couldn't force myself to do it. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to approach it. Uh, I went out and got all these containers and I had great intentions, and every time Sunday would roll around, because of course I would leave it till Sunday, I'm like, all right, what am I going to do for this week? And I know people that successfully create meals and they put them in those little containers every week, but it just doesn't work for me. And I'm here to tell you there's more than one way to skin a cat. So, um, have no fear, don't fret, and hopefully tonight you'll learn some tips and tricks from me on the best way to approach it. So, just first and foremost, some of the benefits of meal prepping. And again, it took me forever to wrap my head around this as I've been in this industry for a very long time. And I always just generally ate healthy, and I thought that, that's all I needed to do. As I got busier and was not spending as much time at home, I found that if I didn't have food on hand, that I would do the just grab whatever out of the refrigerator, or I would run out to eat. So, just to talk about some of the benefits that I have found, meal prepping actually saves you time. And again, like I said, even when I started to think about doing this myself, I'm like, all right, I'm going to save all day on Sunday. You don't need all day on any day to meal prep. You just need a strategy that works for you and you're going to be consistent with. But it can definitely be a time saver by reducing the amount of time that you're actually spending on meal planning, grocery shopping, and cooking itself. So, getting some of that prep out of the way all at one time definitely is beneficial. It also reduces stress. So, it takes the guesswork out of your meal planning and ensures that you do have healthy, balanced meals ready to go. You'll also save money because when you meal prep, you're going to be reducing food waste, and you can actually plan your meals around items that might be on sale in the store or also in season produce, right? We always want to try to eat what's in season wherever we are living so that we can get the most fresh and nutrient dense fruits and vegetables, especially. And also, by meal prepping, you're going to be eating out less. So you're saving money in that regard too. Definitely promotes healthy eating. As I mentioned earlier, if you have things available to you in your refrigerator or your freezer, it's just going to promote healthy eating just by allowing you to control the ingredients that are in your meals, how much you're having. And it can also help you make sure that you're having balanced, nutritious meals. Your portion control, right? When you go out to eat, they're probably giving you way more of, especially the carbohydrates, than you really need at this stage in the game. So you have much more control over the food that you're eating, and also making sure that you're getting that nutritional balance. So the proper amounts of protein, carbohydrates, and fats, and your fiber, and also your vitamins and minerals. So having control over your what you're eating and how much you're eating is just going to promote a healthier eating style, and will definitely also help with weight management, right? So you've got your portion control meals that are tailored to your nutritional needs and hopefully your calorie goals too. And if you don't know what that should be for you, just reach out and we can jump on a call and talk about that. It also helps when you have dietary restrictions. So many folks start to have food sensitivities such as gluten or dairy. things that you really don't have control over when you're going out to eat. And you actually need to be very specific when you do go out to eat if you do have any food sensitivities. And quite honestly, waiters, the wait staff, I almost said waiters and waitresses. That's not politically correct these days. So the wait staff is just used to people making changes. And one of the things that you can do to get around that is to actually do a little research before you go to the restaurant that you're planning on eating at. You can actually create a little index card and just slip it right to the wait staff and just say, hey, this is what I want. This is how I want it. Makes their life easier, makes your life easier. Just you just need to create a little planning in advance to make sure that happens. And then lastly, just provides convenience. You can just grab either your pre-prepared meals on the go or quickly reheating them if you're short on time, or if you're like me and you don't necessarily meal prep, but you food prep in bulk, then you can just kind of throw your meals together in whatever it is that you have for your plan for the day. So that leads me into the different ways that you can meal prep. And again, this doesn't have to take hours and hours of time. And once you start getting out of doing it, you're going to find that it's really not that hard. And you're going to it's just going to become habitual for you. And when you don't have food, you're going to be in like freak out mode, like, oh my gosh, I'm running out of, X, Y, or Z, need to get to the store. What I've been doing lately is ordering my food from the app. And then I just go and pick it up. So time saver right there too. And a money saver because I'm always clipping my digital coupons. But anyway, there are different ways to meal prep. The most popular ways would be, like I said earlier, just make ahead meals. So you've got the full meal cooked in advance. You've got them in little separate containers, or you have it in a big giant container, however that works for you. But you have the full meals cooked in advance and they're just refrigerated and reheated at your meal times. And that's definitely more handy at dinner time, especially. You can also batch cook, which I've also done. So making large batches of one recipe and then splitting it into individual portions to be frozen or just stuck in the refrigerator to eat over the next couple of months. So things like chili or soup, even jasmine rice, a lot of those things I'll just make in bulk and either freeze it or just stick it in the refrigerator. So all you have to do then is reheat it. Individually portioned meals. So you're preparing your fresh meals and proportioning them into individual grab and go. So it could be like those mason jar salads that were popular earlier, or like I said, you might have something pre-cooked in your refrigerator that you kind of just throw together and it's a grab and go kind of thing. But it's already pre-cooked and all you have to do again is reheat it, but it's already portioned out to meet your total calories and your macros if you're doing macro style of diet. And then just ready to cook ingredients, which is really most of the time what I do. I will actually have always on hand my pre-cooked chicken. I usually don't cook it in sauce. I will bake it in the oven or in my air fryer. Sometimes I'll do it in my Instant Pot. Depends on what I'm in the mood for. I try to vary it up because it does create a little food boredom after a while. So just changing the way you cook those things. But I always have my proteins on hand. And then I'll get my sweet potatoes and any vegetables, and I'll just chop them and get them prepared to be cooked, but not necessarily cook them specifically in any particular way before I am planning to use them. But generally, that's something that I'll do once or twice a week. And that is the other thing I wanted to mention. Obviously, when you're cooking your proteins, they're only going to last a certain number of days. I always push my luck on that, and I've never had an issue. But really, you want to try to eat the protein that you cook within 4 days of cooking it. And usually if I batch cook like 5 chicken breasts, I'll pound them all out, stick them in the oven, bake them, and then I will usually throw them in a container. And depending on how my week works, if I don't think that I'm going to get through them because I'm either going out or I'm going to be away, or I just know that I want to have something else mixed in, I'll just take the whatever 2 chicken breasts and I'll just throw them into the freezer for the following week, so that I always have something on hand. And that leads me to another suggestion is just, use your freezers. Years ago, we didn't have that opportunity, right? Many, many years ago. But if you have a freezer, keep your on hand frozen vegetables, your fruits for your smoothies, and any kind of proteins that you like to have frequently. Just keep them in the freezer so that you can take them out, defrost them, and you're ready to go. And you're never in that dire moment where you're like, oh crap, I don't have anything to eat, I'm going to order a pizza, when you're trying to, reach your goals. So just keep those couple things in mind. And I always do say too, that there's 2 kinds of eaters. People that eat the same thing and they know it, and people that think they don't eat the same thing, but they really do. Most of us are creatures of habit. We tend to prepare the same types of food. So the more simple you can keep the whole process, the better it's going to be, and you're going to have more success. So just some tips on that. And then the last thing would just be, if you hate cooking, there are always meal delivery services. And I know many of them now offer higher protein, lower calorie options. So you just have to do your research in your area to see what would work for you. I know when I was back east, my neighbor had left and forgot to cancel. She went on vacation. Cancel her HelloFresh order. So she's like, oh, why don't you go ahead and, go up and grab my order on the porch. And so I'm like, oh, that's really sweet of you. So I bring it home and I open it up and I'm like, ooh, probably not something that I would typically choose to have in my diet. It was like cream-based sauces, a lot of pasta type things. And I think I wound up like just using the protein and the vegetables, and I most likely gave the carbs and the pasta things anyway to my son. So anyway, any questions regarding meal prepping from anybody that's either on the call or on Facebook? Just going to check, see if any questions are popping up. It's definitely something that I have always, probably that one of the number one questions that I get from clients, and anybody that has ever come to my gym and done any kind of nutrition challenge. Yeah, just a high topic of conversation that most people want to know about. Oh, and I did just want to show you or share with you. I will have to share my screen. You guys can see how many windows I have open. It's terrible. Where are you? Let me just share my whole desktop. Of course, it's probably not going to come up. Give me 1 second. Here we go. So just something to kind of keep in mind if you are trying to plan things out. Usually I'll say, look at these lists of foods and pick 3 different proteins, 3 different fats, 3 different carbohydrates, and a bunch of different vegetables. Just highlight it, see what you like, and then here's your beverages and condiments. And then, okay, what am I going to eat? So for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, what is my protein source? What is my fat source? What are my carbohydrate source? And what are my veggie sources? Where are you going to shop? When are you going to do it? I know this sounds kind of silly to go through the motions and do all this, but you're going to be more inclined to actually follow through if you write things down. Just my experience. And then obviously just, fail to prepare, prepare to fail. We've all heard that. Fail to plan, plan to fail. So preparation is key. That's where you start to really slip up and do the silly things like run through the McDonald's drive-through or Chick-fil-A or whatever you think is quote unquote healthy. And then you're in there and you're starving and you're like, oh man, that Big Mac looks pretty good, right? So just set yourself up for success and eliminate those distractions, and you'll be just moving right along and reaching your goals that much easier. And just some general rules for shopping: never shop hungry, stick to your list, which is why I like ordering from my app. And then most often, with the exception of, going into the center aisles for spices or your coffee or what else, like sodium, chicken broth, things like that, you're really going to stick to your produce aisle, your dairy aisle, your your deli area, your meat area. Did I say that already? And then, you're marching out the door. Stay away from that bread aisle as much as possible. And the wine aisle. It's deadly here. In California, you can get alcohol at Target, at CVS, anywhere you go, you can get Target or alcohol. So anyway, don't shop hungry, stick to your list, stick to the outside aisles. And then again, just figure out, like, when you're ready to cook, are you going to food prep or are you going to meal prep? Just like we talked about earlier. I always, like I said, have protein on hand, and then you can just reheat that. So if you want to make a different chicken dish and you want to add make it like a curry type of chicken, or you want to add some tomato sauce, you can still have it cooked, and basically you're just heating it through instead of spending all that time cooking. And then prep and cook your veggies however you like them. Again, you can roast them and roast a bunch of them all at once and then just reheat and save yourself a little time, or just have them raw and ready to rock and roll. Batch cook your carb sources. I do love my Instant Pot for rice. I think it creates great rice, and also a really, really nice sweet potato mash. So if you've ever or never cooked sweet potatoes in your Instant Pot, give it a whirl, because you know how hard it is to peel sweet potatoes. It's really tough. And I don't know if it's the high heat or the steam, I don't know what, but it makes like a mashed sweet potato taste extra delicious. I brought them to my cousin's house for Thanksgiving a couple years ago, and everybody loved them. So try cooking your sweet potatoes in your Instant Pot if you have one. And then, just make sure that you have storage containers, preferably glass, with the little wooden lids. The hormones course that I'm taking right now, the biggest thing that we can do for ourselves to avoid histamines, and I'm not going to go into a biology lesson, but basically, if you look around where you are right now, just look at how many plastics there are around you. And we have literally so much plastic in our bloodstream. So if you can avoid plastics as much as possible, plastic bags, switch to silicone. If you're storing your food in plastic containers, switch to glass. Again, with if you can't get the bamboo lids, the plastic lids are fine. Just obviously don't reheat the items with that plastic lid on. Silicone is definitely better. You can buy reusable silicone bags that actually can go in the dishwasher. So just watch what you're doing as far as that is concerned. And the other thing is the non-stick pans, right? A lot of chemicals are given off when you heat them up. So using like a cast iron pan or aluminum pans, as much as they are a pain because stuff sticks to them, that's just a simple thing that we can do for ourselves to avoid the excess chemicals. And that's pretty much all I wanted to share tonight on meal prepping. And I don't see any questions out there. So I'm going to end the live. I actually remembered to record it. And